could see that streaming live on Facebook.
Yeah, we got that there. Let's make sure that it actually is. Looks good. I think we've done it. Another successful morning. It always makes me feel so good. Oh, man. So we're kind of getting settled into fall here. Deb, I'm just going to ask you, does my sound okay to you? Because it's a little crackly to me.
It sounds okay to me.
Okay, thanks. I'm really excited this week. It's, I don't know, a lot of people know that I had my daughter's wedding a couple of weeks ago. So to take that time out of like my business energy and my life energy to put everything for 10 days, like be totally mindful and in the moment. And now it really feels kind of like comforting to get back to
Yeah.
talking to smart people and being creative and being able to make a difference. So I'm really excited about that. I wanted to, as always, I like to start with like a quick digital marketing tip. And I have been focusing in October on email marketing. I have 2 tutorials coming up next Wednesday at 9:30 in the morning or 7 o'clock at night. I'm talking about personalizing emails. I know you and I have talked about emails before too.
Yeah.
And it's just not only like segmenting your lists, and so that you're only sending content to people who want to hear about that content. So you're not blanket sending it, but it's also the little things that you can do in an email program that personalize it, put in people's names or
Right.
their birthdays, their anniversaries, the last time they were in the store, if that's what you do, the last time. So these automated things, I love being personal and every day being authentic, but it's those kinds of things that make the difference when you're trying to scale. So that's next Wednesday. You can sign up through the Rise Above Noise Facebook group on my website, email me. The next one that I'm doing, I'm so excited about it. I did it last year and it was so popular. I ended up doing it twice. I'll probably do it at least once, maybe twice. It's about holiday marketing, like how to not, I was going to share a slide, but now that I'm talking to you about this, like how not to let the opportunity slip by, right? If you need one client or you need 5 clients or you need 50 clients, do what you need to do to get them. So to that, I was going to talk a little bit about what to share in an automated email. And I guess I could, while I'm talking, I'll put up the slide. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
Share. This one has my presenter notes, but then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask you, do you see just like a blank screen that says identify what you have?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's going to fill with different things that you can offer in an autoresponder, right? And so talking about not losing the opportunity, a lot of people I know went to either the Metro West Conference for Women last month, the month before, or last 2 weeks ago to the South Shore Conference for Women.
Yes, I attended the South Shore Conference. It was great.
Right? It was great, right? So here's the thing. So it was very inspiring and women can do it and together we can do it and look at all these interesting people doing interesting things and how can we collaborate? How can we do it all? And so that was great. And you come back and you feel uplifted. But what I want you to do when you go to an event like that, or you go to do a vendor event for the holidays or any place where there are people, is to look around and say, oh, there are at least 5 people, 25 people, 50 people in this room today who could use my services. And I'm not doing my job unless I let them know that I can help them.
Right.
And so how do you do that? If you go to a conference like that, are you collecting cards, the people next to you? Oh, here's what I do. Can I send you my free resource? Right. And so now you're getting them on your list and you're bringing them a little closer to you. And they can always unsubscribe. So what I have on the screen while we're talking is just a few different ideas of quick freebies that you can create so that you're offering, you're giving. I know people don't want to feel selly. And so this is actually, how can I offer somebody who needs me a way to learn more about me so that I'm not feeling selly. So I'm glad I got to use this slide and talk about South Shore Conference for Women. It's sold out this year and the vendor booths sold out like so quickly. So next year when you guys get the emails, for sure, hop on.
Yeah, and it was a fantastic event. It was really a dynamic, high energy event. It was great.
Yeah,
really
awesome.
great.
Did you have a favorite takeaway from it?
Ooh, that's a good question. That is a really good question. I'm just trying to think of the breakout sessions. Honestly, because everybody presented so well, and the keynote speakers were amazing. The whole thing. And what struck me, I think, more than anything else, was that you could see the power that women have if they give themselves permission to use it. Like it just, and what was great was that there was a lot of celebrating of other women's successes. There was never a sense of, or at least not verbally spoken or out there, but there was never a sense of, well, I don't belong here because I haven't achieved what she's achieved yet. But because that was the thing at the end of everybody's sentence was sort of like, yet, like yeah, I can do that. I can get there. It may look a little different. It's going to be me, but there was this great sense of support and celebrating. And I really walked away so energized thinking, if women take what we naturally do, which is collaborate, share, support, we can literally do anything we want to do. That's what I walked away with. It was just stunning, really.
Awesome. Oh, I'm so glad that you got that way. Like, as you know, I was on the board for that, doing their newsletters, and the people who were on the board were truly, truly givers and only wanted to make this the best experience for everybody. So I'm really happy to hear that. I couldn't go because it was the wedding weekend, but man, next year, I'll be going.
Oh yeah.
I'll be wearing my purple.
And I absolutely have already told several women who were not able to go, I'm like, make sure you make the time to go next year. It was really worth it.
And it's going to sell out more quickly next year too. So hop on that. All right. So we could chat all day, but I want to give the official introduction. So Deb Goeschel saves her, I should start better than this. Sorry about that. I got so excited. Deb Goeschel is the owner and strategic content creator for Message Artist at messageartist.com. So Deb saves her clients time and money by ensuring their brand messaging is on target and speaks to their ideal customers. Using that messaging, Deb and her team create effective branded marketing materials, both online and in print, that clearly convey what her clients offer and why they're the best solution to the problem that their clients face, like we were talking about. With 19 years of communications experience, Deb serves women-owned and small to mid-sized businesses, entrepreneurs, and nonprofits, both locally and throughout the country. Thank goodness for Zoom videoing. When I asked Deb, I asked her, what is your superpower? She said that she's highly intuitive, and that makes crafting and articulating her client's message and story easy for her. I'm so excited. This is probably one of the number one, well, I'm going to just put myself in there. Maybe other people have the same situation I do. I think I've got it all together. And I speak it, right? I thought, talking about the autoresponder, I speak it well, but when I go to sit down and write it, I sound so stilted. And I'm not sure that I'm getting my message across all of the time, right? So I have to really work on that and do it over and over again.
We all do.
Yeah. So tell me, how do you help people with that?
Well, what's interesting, and I'm going to go back a little bit into how I ended up branding myself Message Artist.
Yes.
I had started my own business and with the idea of being a content creator, copywriter, and I loved the health and wellness industry. And so I thought, oh, that'll be my niche, and which was great. Some issues there, in that market in terms of sizing and scale, obviously. But the big thing I kept running into when I would do workshops, when I would have individual clients, is it really became clear to me that way too many business owners, I should say, got very excited about whatever it was that they were offering, and they launched their business and they, ran out the door, and they either spent money on really bad branding, or even worse, they they had stopped spending money on any kind of marketing because they weren't getting any results. And after some conversation, I discovered it's because they didn't have their messaging, their core. And for this conversation, let's talk about your core business messaging. Obviously, any campaign, anything you're launching will have its messaging, but that still has to lay on the backbone of your core business messaging. And that's what informs your brand. And I just found that a lot of these business owners, they didn't have it. They thought they were talking to the right clients and they really weren't. Or they thought they had an idea of how they wanted to run their business and they weren't doing it that way. So there was a lot of confusion. And me being me, I can't do anything halfway. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, give me your money and I'll just write you something and off I go. I can't ethically do that. So I found myself more and more spending time and not getting paid for it to
Mhm.
create their messaging. So I kind of, after I was saying about the 2-year mark, I said, I gotta do something different. And there's a huge need for this. And excuse me. And so that's what I did. I was like, I need to get these business owners thinking about their businesses from a business perspective or a marketing
Yes.
perspective. A lot of
Yes.
the small businesses, again, they're just excited. We launch what we're doing and we're running out the door, and that's awesome because you're doing it. But you're not gonna go as far as you could if you don't kind of get all the other pieces together. So
Yes. Well, I've also, in my experience, it's also been that doing the hard work. So I'm working on that now with my mastermind group, is doing that hard work to find out what is your big idea, or what is your mission, or what are your core values.
mhm.
That once you have those written in front of you, everything else flows from that.
It's so much easier. And that was the thing I also ran into, which kind of surprised me a little bit. Um, that a lot of business owners, they never had taken the time to create a mission statement, to identify those core values, to
Yeah.
identify their big vision. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? And to what you just said, if you have that defined and you have that in front of you, it just makes your decision making so much easier. You know what you need to spend your time on.
Right.
It's easier. You save
I,
time, a lot of time.
Well, you save time, and you know what else? You save confusion,
Oh
because it's
yeah.
so easy to go down that rabbit hole. Oh, should I be
Mhm,
doing this? Should I be doing that?
mhm.
And then if you mirror that against what is your core value, what is your big idea? I did a webinar with Devin Grilly, Coach on Fire, last year. It's still up on my website and on my YouTube, which she leads you through some of the steps of identifying core value or your
Mm.
mission statement. And it just makes everything else so much easier. And then you avoid the confusion.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And quite frankly, if you don't have all of these things, and especially part of that is also identifying, creating that client profile or your customer profile. Because if you don't have that, you're doing what I call the spaghetti on the wall marketing. You're
Yes.
just trying, you're throwing stuff out there, and maybe it'll stick and maybe it'll fall right down. But the thing is, most folks, when they start a business, they don't have a huge venture capitalist behind them. I mean, there's certainly some who do,
Yeah.
but the folks that I run into, those local small businesses, the mom and pop shops, the entrepreneurs, they don't have that kind of budget.
No.
So I tell them, I said, look, marketing and establishing your messaging and establishing, your content. Yeah, it's an investment, but the bottom line is if you do that up front, you're going to attract the people who will buy from you. You won't be wasting your time, talking to somebody who's never going to buy because you're just not selling what they need. And you have to know with whom you're speaking because everything you do has to be directed to that profile.
And so once you kind of get that, right? And do you help people get that, or is it easier if they have that before they get to you, their core mission,
It
their core
runs the
value?
gamut. I personally love helping them do that, and I love taking them through that. One, because it dives me deep into their business and into who they are as a business owner and what they want to achieve. So I love it when I have the opportunity to do that and then create their content. That's ideal. I have certainly had clients where they have all or some of these things, and they bring it through, and we will go through that. If they have it in place, I'm still going to need to go through that. I want to know, okay, why this? What is this? Why that? And because it's the only way I can write content that's going to speak to the people they want to reach. You have to know, the messaging informs everything you do.
And so once they have the brand messaging, how does that how does that inform or go along with their other branding, which people are more like they'll spend a ton of time and money creating their logo or creating their business card. How does what you do help them inform that?
If I can get a hold of them before they spend all that money, I like that, because that I run into that a lot. A
Yeah.
lot of people have spent a lot of time and money
Mm.
on the visual brand piece. And I always say that's the last. Your logo is the last thing when it comes to establishing your brand. The visuals that go out have to be informed and lay on all the other stuff behind, your goals, your mission, your vision, who's your client profile, what's your objective, what are you selling? And what's your unique selling proposition too? Like, how are you unique in the marketplace? So all of these things are part of your messaging. And I have had several clients that once we get started, they end up doing a full rebrand because their previous visual brand does not at all match what they're doing. And it's unfortunate that that's what happens because, again, back to that budget, a lot of business owners, you don't have cash just flinging into your lap. So we've had a few clients, more than a few, have to rebrand. But I also like to think I work with, really good designers and really good teams so that we're not wasting any more money, not wasting any more time. I kind of get it all done.
So, all right. So they get to you before they do their brand and they figure out their core value, what their brand kind of message is. Then they maybe or not get their logo, their website, all of that visual branding. So is it done? Like, is that it? Like you do that work, they get their core messaging and then it's done?
It can be, and certainly is for some, because whether they've run out of money or they just are like, "Ah, I'm going to do it myself now." But that's just the beginning. I mean, when I talk about your core messaging as the foundation, that's really what it is. It's the foundation of what you're doing, the foundation of your business. So if you want to now establish relationship with that client customer profile that you've created, you now have to go, okay, there's more here. So how do I talk to them? What's the best way to find them? Um, is it email? Can I get them on my list? Which is always a yes anyway. But also, what social platforms are they on? Or are you finding, depending on your business, maybe you need to go to trade shows. Maybe your clients are at trade shows. This is why establishing that core messaging is so important, because that profile is going to help you determine how, where, when you're reaching out to these people that you want and need to reach out to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And again, just going back to yes, if you have that together. So what's the process? If somebody comes to you and they kind of have an idea, but they're not really sure, how does it look like to work with you?
Well, if we are going to dive into their messaging, it is a deep, intensive dive. I've generally had clients, 3 to 4 hour interview. We could power through. Some have gone a little longer, some have gone a little shorter. The ones that tend to be shorter are those who have some kind of marketing background, and so they're already kind of aware of some of this stuff. Um, I've worked with clients where we kind of divvy it up over several sessions, because the thing is, again, when you're talking small business and you're talking entrepreneurs, this is deeply personal work for them. This is you're birthing your business. It's like birthing a baby kind
Oh
of
my
thing. And
God,
so
yes.
you're very vested emotionally and mentally with it. And I find when I go through this that, generally speaking, the majority of my clients learn new things about themselves and their business, or why and what they want to do in their business, um, that they didn't expect, or didn't know that that's what they were thinking or feeling about their business. So it is pretty intensive. We all walk out especially if we do it in one session, we all walk out tired. We're like, we're tired. But it's really good because you get such amazingly authentic, um, that juicy stuff that drives us in our businesses. And once we have that, I will generally go through and kind of, get it in something that we can now look at and make sense of.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of jumping around. I also tell people, like, yes, there's your goals, objectives, your vision, mission, your unique selling proposition, your client profile, like all of these things. It's not a linear list necessarily, right? You may start that way, and then you get down to number 4, and you're like, oh wait, that now is going to change what I wrote for number 1. So there's a lot of cyclical and going back and forth that has to happen. And once we have that, then it's going, okay, what's our next step? Is it that you need a new website or a redone website? Do you need print materials? Like, what is it that your business needs to serve the clients and customers that you are trying to reach? So we determine that.
Oh, so you help them kind of figure out, like you're almost like a business coach, then you're helping them, what's the next thing? What's the next thing?
There's a lot, yeah, there's a lot to it. And it's funny because it took me time to figure all that out too, to be perfectly
Yes.
honest.
Well, I have to say it's interesting because I've had the experience where I'm working with somebody just getting started and they, so we're going to do maybe their social media, maybe their email marketing.
Mm.
And then I'm looking at, because everything goes back to your website, right? So then I'm like, okay, let's go look at your website and see where we can take out some of the content for your messaging. And maybe the website is not that great.
Oh yeah.
And knowing that uh, the mental and fiscal responsibility and time responsibility of building a website, I hesitate to say, oh honey.
Yeah. Yes. And so how I deal with that, because I get it. It is a big time and money investment to get a really functional, effective website. So I say to a lot of clients when they're new, I said, look, if you can't afford what I do right now, let's have a conversation so you know what it's going to cost and you can plan for it.
Mm,
Because if you don't know what that investment's going to be, you can't plan for it. And the thing is, you go out, and I always say, I'm like, look, just get your customers, get some clients, get some cash flow, and then you go back and we'll do it so that then you can grow, right? Because that's the point. You want to grow your business. And I liken the website to the storefront. So, someone's walking down, Main Street America, and oh, there's a really something in that window that attracts me. Is it going to pull me into the site? That's what your website is doing. That's what the homepage is. It's the window on the main street. And if your website doesn't get them to click within seconds, it's not doing its job. So whether you did it yourself or you hired someone, somewhere there's waste, because if it's not doing its job, you might as well not even have it.
well, that is so true. And I listen a lot to Donald Miller of StoryBrand, right? And so some of the sites that I go on, it's just content. It's just words
Mm.
and words and words and words and words and words. And my eye doesn't know where to go. And what Donald Miller says all the time is, if you confuse, you lose.
Yeah.
And so to that point, I like the new sites that are up, which are, a lot of white space. And then the 3, to your point, right? What is the 3 messages you want to make?
Yeah.
And then the
Very
content goes
simple.
over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the search optimization is there because you're using all those wonderful keywords that you're working on with your client. Okay, what do
Yeah.
we want to get found for? So
Right.
even if you don't get found on search optimization, even if the moment you hand somebody your card, or the
Right.
moment you post your link on a social media group, or the moment you send an email and people are going back, they are going to go back, and you want to have your messaging super clear.
Absolutely. And the messaging is such an integral part of your brand. And I always say, like, look, you can't, that confusion factor you just, mentioned, you can't confuse people. So if you send somebody an email or even post something on social, right? Whatever graphics you use and there's a link, they better be able to recognize you when they go through the link. I've had a lot of folks. I go and I look at their stuff and I'm like, am I on the right site? Like, is this the right place? And that confusion is it creates an unconscious bias or sense of nervousness or lack of trust. I call it trust from the potential client or customer. So people buy when they trust you. There's an emotional connection. And I mean, anybody who's looked at any sales books or marketing books or whatever, I always say, I'm like, look, the consumer's not buying what you sell. It doesn't matter what you're selling. They're buying what has value to them. So if you're selling a cup, or you're selling a massage therapy appointment, or you're selling a big fancy vacation package, it doesn't actually matter really. Like, I mean, it obviously does a little bit, but like where's the value? Where's the benefit they get for your client, which is part of the profile you create? So how do you emotionally connect to that customer? How do you make them go, oh my God, that's exactly what I need right now?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like I need that so much. And if it's a big fancy vacation, that means that person needs a vacation. If it's the mug that's going to keep her beverage warm for 4 hours because that's how her day goes, that's awesome. You know,
Yes.
like it's finding that benefit, and the confusion factor never helps. It just
No.
doesn't help.
No,
Not
and
even
it's
a
actually,
little.
it's detrimental too, because, then people are like, yeah, I checked her out, but I didn't really know what was there. So I moved on.
Yeah, and I want to mention back to what you're talking about, like all, if you go into a site or any page and there's just a lot of copy, there's a lot of words. I call that the wall of copy. And I'm like, your people literally walk into it and you can't. I am an
I love
avid
that.
reader. I'm a fast reader, and I'm a fan of books like written by Jane Austen. You don't think I want to write a paragraph size sentence? Of course I do. Not going to do it online, right?
No.
You can't. So there's strategy that goes behind how your content is presented on your site, on a print brochure, on your business card. I always am like, do more than just your name and contact information on a business
Right.
card. Like, make it work for you. And so it's being very strategic about how you get the information out there that you need. So people aren't walking into or tripping over your copy and then
Right.
not knowing what you're doing.
And then if you have a good website designer too,
Yes.
they help with the way the eyes are supposed to go, because I'm a scanner. And if I
Yeah,
don't know what I'm
everybody is.
supposed to be looking at. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's where the good design comes in. And again, I am not knocking anybody who starts their business and has to create their own site. Like you
Right.
got to get started. You got to get
You
out the
do.
door.
Yep.
So kudos to anybody who's doing it. But when you have the budget, it really does behoove you to find some professionals to help you make it work, because there is psychological reasons that designers do what they do the way they do them.
Right.
Because it's a, how do you lead the eye? How do you grab their attention? Because the other thing about, especially with a website, more so even than any kind of print material, just because of the way the web works, think about your website. And again, your messaging is the, that co-pilot next to you. It's helping direct you. But your website is a map. And anything you do is also part of that map. So if it's a business card or your print brochure, it's directing you back to the website. Your social stuff is directing you back to your website. So everything that you do, that your messaging and your marketing says you need to do, you're literally guiding people to what it is you need so they can take action.
Right.
That's it.
That's right.
That's it.
Yep.
Take the action. And sometimes the action's small. Sometimes it's sign up for my newsletter.
Yes. But
Sometimes
always
it's
have that call to action. That's one of my
absolutely,
biggest, you got to have
yes,
that.
you have to, because otherwise they don't know what to do.
They're
Like,
confused. What
they're
now?
confused, right? And if they've just met you or just looked at your thing, it's very rare. Even if you're someone who's shopping on Amazon, it's really rare for someone who's looking for something new, maybe that they haven't experienced before, to buy instantly.
Right.
They're looking at all their options. And small business owners, entrepreneurs, we're the same. People are like, what's in it for me? Why should I work with you over somebody else?
Right.
And again, that comes back to that messaging. It's like, you're going to tell them why. You're going to tell them why you're unique. How am I going to solve your problem?
That's
It's
it.
it's simple, but it can be overwhelming and intimidating and hard. Again, that's that deep attachment that we have to our business, especially we have preconceived notions that maybe aren't quite accurate. and that have to
Right.
get
And
worked
I
through.
think it's too, a lot of people that I meet at different networking events aren't clear on what they offer. And so they'll do their 30-second, 60-second
Right.
introduction, which I think that is like that elevator speech or that tagline is so important. I imagine that's what you help people with too, because otherwise they're
Mhm.
up there and they're like, and I do this, and I love this, and I can help with this, and I can help with that. And I'm like, I can't remember what you're doing.
No, it's
Yeah.
too much. It's too much because you meet somebody, it's no different than being online, right? You've got, if you're lucky, you've got 30 seconds in front of them to like before the person is not thinking about something else in the back of their head.
Yes.
And the interesting thing, and again, this is where your messaging helps because creating things like an elevator speech and creating things like a tagline, the shorter it is, the harder it is. Like, and I have a lot of clients, so I'm going to take an opportunity here. Anybody who's listening, that to mention this, it's because they don't understand. So if someone comes to me, it's fairly rare that I have someone who just needs a tagline from me. Because it's usually a part of a bigger thing. But the tagline isn't, it's not going to cost you $50. It's going to cost a lot more than that because there's a lot of time and research. And again, all that messaging has to come into play. And the elevator speech, again, gets so much easier if you have all of this in place. It just, because then this is what I do. This is how I do it. This is for whom I'm doing it. Boom, you're done. It just makes it easy. And I think part of what the getting your messaging down helps some of these small businesses and entrepreneurs do is find their niche, because a lot of folks go out and they feel, because of course they want to make money and they're a little nervous or a lot nervous, and they feel like they have to just get whatever clients they can get. And there is an element of truth to that when you first start, right? Because you just got to get some cash flow going. But the reality is you will do much better if you can identify your niche. Like, where's your sweet spot? What makes you super happy? What makes you go, I love working with that type of person, and
Yes.
it jazzes me up and it doesn't wear me out and I can get paid for it. That makes life a lot easier. It's, I mean, like, let's use a massage therapist, for instance. Like,
Mhm.
how many massage therapists are there out there, right?
A few. Yep.
There's a few. And some are more skilled than others based on experience or training or whatever. But the thing is, those massage therapists who decide in their business what they want to focus on, right? So if you want to just be like the general relaxation gal, that's great. And you will probably get your folks. But then you've got people who are like, I'm going to work on sports medicine, or
Mhm.
I'm going to combine my massage therapy with some energy therapy, or I'm going to combine my massage therapy with some aromatherapy therapy. And so it's finding, is it men, is it women, is it kids, is it car crashes, is it injury, like
Right.
there's, even in something that's massage therapy, you can find a way to niche what you do and
Yes.
reach those people. And then it helps you establish that relationship over time with your messaging, with your communications and your
Yeah.
content. You establish that trust. So then once you have the trust, people are going to buy or book with you. And then if you live up and deliver what you've promised, now they're going to refer to you.
Right.
And that's the key. Because here's, you come up with all this messaging and it has to be authentic and it has to be accurate, because if you can't deliver, that will backfire.
Well,
Sure.
of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So I just looked at the clock and we've gone over, and I think I could have talked with you for another hour easily, but let's do the call to action, Deb. So I have here that you are offering 10% off any service to somebody who schedules a consult with you on your website, messageartist.com. And if they type in Rise Above the Noise, they'll get a discount. So
You'll get a
that's very
discount.
nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you're also inviting people over to your Facebook group that's Messaging Matters. Tell me quickly about that.
Messaging Matters, which is actually launching in the next week or so.
Okay.
I'm a little behind.
No
I
worries.
went to Ireland for a couple of weeks. I got distracted.
Yes.
But yes, I am creating a Facebook group called Messaging Matters. And it's going to be a place where if you have a question for me, I will be able to answer. But also, I want to develop a community of other business owners and entrepreneurs. because we're all smart. We all have a lot to offer. And I think brainstorming and getting feedback is an amazingly helpful thing. And if you are a solo business owner, you're just not getting that. So I love the idea of creating a resource, a community, um, throw out a question. Hey, what do you think of this? I thought I might do this. What are your thoughts? And just help each other. It's that going back to what we talked about with the conference, the South Shore conference. It's like women and men. I mean, this is not exclusively women, but
Right,
like
right.
we can
Small
help
business.
each other. We can absolutely um, share thoughts, ideas. Hey, this worked for me. Give it a try. Or even just be like, toot your horn. Ring your bell. Hey, I just did this and it was super successful, and I'm excited. And I just needed to like shout it out to the world. So that's pretty much the goal and objective
That's
of
very
messaging.
generous of you. So I would imagine too, so if people want to get on, they'll go on your website and join your list, and then you'll let them know when the group is starting.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because it's coming up soon. And I'm sure once I have it launched, I'll put a link on my site as well for that. But it's
So
super
good.
close. We're just waiting for a couple graphics.
So good. All right. So I'm going to say, wish you a great day. Wish everybody at Rise Above
Thank you.
Noise a great day. I'm going to shut this off on
Thank you.
Facebook.